Have you ever stopped to picture what's happening inside your own body? A place where no sound alarms you, no sharp pain warns you, yet something dangerous is quietly ticking away like a hidden time bomb. That silent threat is high blood pressure. It doesn't announce itself with obvious symptoms, but day after day, it puts relentless pressure on your arteries, weakening their walls and inching you closer to a sudden disaster involving your heart or brain. In the United States, about 1 in 3 adults lives with this condition, and what makes it terrifying is that many don't even know they have it until tragedy strikes. Imagine someone enjoying breakfast or talking with their spouse when suddenly half their face droops, their arm and leg become weak, their words turn into incomprehensible sounds, and in just minutes, their life is permanently altered by a stroke. That's why hypertension has long been called the silent killer. It erodes your arteries slowly, without fanfare, while the heart pumps harder and harder against the resistance. And sometimes all it takes is a single misstep, eating a particularly salty dinner, skipping a dose of medicine, or letting stress pile up for weeks for the fuse to ignite. The cruel irony is that the most dangerous moment is when you feel perfectly fine. When you tell yourself, I must be okay, that may be the very time this invisible force is tearing you apart inside.
High blood pressure doesn't stop at the brain or the heart. It damages the kidneys, threatening dialysis. It clouds vision by straining the delicate vessels of the eyes. It even disrupts sexual health, robbing people of intimacy and confidence. Yet, among all these complications, stroke remains the most devastating. The brain, the command center of every thought, movement, and memory, can survive only a few minutes without oxygen. In that brief time, millions of neurons die, and once they're gone, they are gone. Forever. No treatment can restore them. Many believe they already know the risks of hypertension, but in truth, there are hidden realities rarely discussed. These aren't just medical facts, they are life or death warnings that could completely reshape how you view this disease. Ignoring them is like ignoring smoke rising in your kitchen, believing it's harmless steam, until flames suddenly consume the room. That's why today we're pulling back the curtain on 5 shocking truths about high blood pressure. We'll uncover the dangerous misunderstandings surrounding normal numbers and why even readings you think are safe may not protect you. We'll expose the chilling reasons it has earned the name silent killer. We'll reveal why treatment is not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey. And we'll show how hypertension doesn't just harm one organ, but quietly sabotages the entire body. Each truth will peel away the illusion that you're safe, and more importantly, it will give you the knowledge to take control, to defuse the time bomb inside your body before it's too late.
So let's begin with the first truth, the numbers game that so many people misunderstand about their own blood pressure, and why trusting the wrong numbers could cost you everything. Every time you visit the clinic, the doctor or nurse wraps the cuff around your arm, waits a few seconds, and then reads out 2 numbers. That's your blood pressure. It sounds simple, but unfortunately, many people only pay attention to one number or don't really understand what those 2 numbers mean. In reality, blood pressure is the force of blood pushing against the artery walls as the heart pumps, measured in millimeters of mercury, with 2 key parts: systolic pressure, the top number, and diastolic pressure, the bottom number. The top number reflects the pressure in your arteries when the heart contracts to pump blood out, while the bottom number reflects the pressure when the heart is resting between beats. If you ignore either number, you could completely misjudge your health. Take a common example. If your doctor says your blood pressure is 120, you might think that sounds perfect, but 120 over 95 is very different from 120 over 75. The first indicates diastolic hypertension, meaning your arteries are under constant high pressure, even when your heart is resting, a serious risk.
Meanwhile, 120/75 is normal and safe. Two very different situations, but if you only listen to the top number, you could be fooling yourself into believing everything is fine. That's why so many people, I feel healthy, my blood pressure is stable, when in reality their bodies are straining against dangerous pressure with every breath and every heartbeat. What's even more important to know is that blood pressure is not a fixed value. It fluctuates constantly throughout the day, depending on your activity, emotions, posture, and even the time you measure it. A one-time high reading in the doctor's office, especially if you're nervous in front of them, is called white coat hypertension, and it doesn't always mean you truly have the disease. But if those high numbers keep showing up repeatedly, especially when measured at home while you're at rest, that's when it becomes a real danger. That's why doctors always recommend check your blood pressure multiple times at different points of the day, and ideally use a home monitor to track it yourself. Only by looking at both numbers in a variety of situations can you truly understand your condition. Remember, blood pressure is not a guessing game. It's a mirror reflecting the health of your arteries. If you only pay attention to one number, you may be gambling your future on the chance of a sudden stroke. Understanding both numbers and monitoring them regularly is the very first and most important step in taking back control of your heart and brain health. And once you truly grasp the meaning of those numbers, you'll see that the line between normal and dangerous is far thinner than you may have ever imagined. A reality we'll explore in Shocking Truth Number 2, Beyond Normal.
Many people think blood pressure only has two states. It's either normal or high. But in reality, medicine classifies blood pressure into several levels, and each one carries its own meaning for your health. According to the American Heart Association, AHA, and the American College of Cardiology, ACC, optimal blood pressure is below 120/80 mmHg. This is the gold standard everyone should aim for, since it's linked to the lowest risk of heart disease and stroke. But if the numbers creep up slightly, say 120/129/80-84 mmHg, you may still be considered normal, yet you're already at the warning line, signaling that your body needs healthy habits to avoid climbing higher. When readings move into the range of 130/139/85-89 mmHg, you've entered what's called the pre-hypertension stage, like a yellow light on the highway, warning you to slow down immediately. If ignored, it's only a matter of time before true hypertension sets in. Once your blood pressure consistently hits 140/90 mmHg or higher, you are officially diagnosed with hypertension. And in extreme cases, when the numbers soar past 180/120 mmHg, you've reached a hypertensive crisis, a life-threatening emergency that can trigger a stroke in an instant. The troubling part is that many people stay complacent when their doctor says their blood pressure is a little high or not needing medication yet, and they brush off those warnings. They don't realize that every small step upward on the blood pressure scale is not minor. It's another rung on the ladder leading toward brain and heart damage.
Imagine blood pressure like the water level in a dam. When the water is only halfway up, it still feels safe, but every extra inch multiplies the pressure, and eventually the dam will burst. Your body is the same way. Blood vessels don't announce when they've had enough, but when they finally give out, the cost could be a sudden stroke. That's why knowing exactly where you fall on the spectrum, from optimal to crisis, is absolutely critical. It's not about labeling yourself as sick or healthy, but about giving you and your doctor the information needed to create the right plan at the right time to protect your health. And this is why so many cardiologists stress that understanding each stage of blood pressure not only lets you see your future, but also gives you the chance to change direction before it's too late. Yet perhaps the most frightening truth of all is that in most cases, high blood pressure produces no clear symptoms, and it's this silence that turns it into the deadliest killer we'll expose in the next part. Among all the shocking truths about high blood pressure, perhaps the one that chills people the most is that it rarely produces any clear symptoms, even while silently damaging your body day after day. This is exactly why doctors around the world call hypertension the invisible killer. You might wake up in the morning feeling fine, still able to shop for groceries, drive, or chat with friends, completely unaware that the pressure inside your arteries is steadily rising, eroding their delicate walls and preparing for a sudden strike on your brain or heart. The frightening reality is that our bodies don't have a reliable alarm system for this condition. Many people believe that high blood pressure must show symptoms like headaches, dizziness, nosebleeds, or chest tightness. But the truth is the opposite. In most cases, those signs only appear when the disease is advanced to a dangerous stage or when you enter a hypertensive crisis, when blood pressure skyrockets to 180 over 120 millimeters of mercury, a medical emergency that can cause a stroke or heart attack within minutes. That means if you're waiting for symptoms to tell you something is wrong, it's usually already too late. Imagine your body as a dam holding back water. On the outside, it looks calm, but each day, the water level keeps rising. No one warns you that cracks are forming inside the wall until suddenly the dam bursts, sweeping everything away. High blood pressure works the same way. No loud warnings, no early alarms, just silent destruction until one day, disaster strikes. High blood pressure is the same way. It doesn't cause sharp pain to warn you early. Instead, it quietly wears your body down until one day you collapse from a sudden stroke. This is why regular blood pressure checks are so critical. You can't rely on how you feel or assume, "I look healthy, I'm not overweight, I must be fine." There have been far too many cases of thin people, younger adults, even athletes, who still developed hypertension and suffered strokes. Only the numbers on the monitor tell the truth. For those over 60 especially, the habit of checking blood pressure at home with a personal monitor is like a shield protecting the brain and heart from devastating surprises. The problem is that even people who have already been diagnosed often become careless. They take their medicine for a while, see their numbers stabilize, then stop, thinking they're cured. What they don't realize is that hypertension is a chronic disease, like a shadow that never leaves unless you control it for life. Once the medication stops, blood pressure rises again, often higher than before, and at that point, the risk of stroke skyrockets. That's why the silence of high blood pressure is a double-edged sword. It makes you believe there's no danger, but that very complacency paves the way for disaster. And this is exactly why, in the medical world, hypertension is still called the silent killer, the enemy that never makes a sound, yet waits for the moment you let your guard down to strike its most devastating blow. If the fact that high blood pressure is a silent killer makes many people shudder, the next truth is even harder to accept. Once diagnosed, controlling it is almost always a lifelong journey, not just a temporary phase. This is not a disease that can ever be completely cured. Instead, it's like a fire that constantly smolders. Stop controlling it, and it flares up violently, destroying all the progress you've worked so hard to protect. Many people, after taking medication for a while and seeing their numbers return to normal, assume they're healthy again and don't need to continue. But that very complacency puts them at far greater risk. Doctors call this rebound hypertension.
When you suddenly stop taking your medication, your blood pressure can spike even higher than before, multiplying the risk of stroke or heart attack several times over. The reason is simple. Blood pressure medication only controls the condition. It doesn't cure it at the root. These medicines work in different ways. Some relax the blood vessels to reduce pressure. Others flush out excess salt in water, while still others slow the heart rate to ease the burden of pumping blood. All of these effects last only as long as you continue taking the medicine consistently. All of these benefits only last as long as you take your medication regularly. Stop, and every layer of protection disappears, leaving your blood vessels once again exposed to relentless pressure. That's why managing hypertension is often compared to running a marathon, not a sprint. It requires patience, persistence, and the acceptance that this is part of your lifestyle, from today and for the years to come. Of course, medication isn't the only key factor. Your lifestyle plays a vital role too. A diet rich in vegetables, low in salt, and full of potassium and fiber helps your medicine work more effectively. Regular exercise not only lowers blood pressure, but also strengthens your overall heart health. Getting enough sleep, avoiding long-term stress, quitting smoking, and limiting alcohol are all essential steps. When medication is paired with a healthy lifestyle, you can keep your blood pressure under control and greatly reduce the risk of complications.
Always remember, this is a long journey and every small step matters. Each day that you take your medication on time, walk a few more steps, or cut back on salt, you are making steady, meaningful progress in protecting your heart and brain. Accepting the truth that I must control my blood pressure for life may feel heavy at first, but try looking at it differently. You are not simply living with a disease. You are living proactively, reclaiming control from the silent killer. And only by maintaining that control can you continue to live healthy, independent, and enjoy your later years to the fullest. What makes high blood pressure most terrifying is that it doesn't just affect the brain or the heart, it spreads throughout the entire body, creating destructive ripple effects from top to bottom. And this is the final shocking truth we must expose. Hypertension sends waves of damage across your arteries, your eyes, your kidneys, and even the most private parts of your life. Each time blood pressure rises, the blood slams against the artery walls with tremendous force, like powerful waves pounding the rocks day and night. At first, the vessel walls hold up, but over time, tiny cracks appear, the inner lining erodes, and plaques begin to form. As these plaques thicken, the arteries narrow, blood flow becomes restricted, and blood clots are more likely to develop. This is the beginning of heart attacks and strokes. But it doesn't stop there. Constant high pressure can also weaken the vessel walls, causing them to bulge into small sacs called aneurysms.
If just one of those aneurysms ruptures, especially in the brain, the result is a deadly hemorrhagic stroke. For the heart, hypertension forces the muscle to work harder and harder to pump blood through arteries that are becoming narrower and stiffer. Over the years, the heart muscle, especially the left ventricle, thickens and enlarges, but instead of becoming stronger, it weakens and loses its ability to pump efficiently. This is the pathway to heart failure, where every heartbeat becomes a heavy burden. At the same time, the coronary arteries that supply blood to the heart itself become clogged with plaque, leading to coronary artery disease, chest pain, and the risk of a heart attack. The brain, the organ most sensitive to blood flow, becomes the greatest victim. Beyond strokes, hypertension also causes transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, often called mini-strokes. These episodes should never be ignored, as they are warning bells that a major stroke could strike at any moment. Even worse, prolonged high blood pressure gradually reduces blood flow to the brain, leading to vascular dementia, a form of memory loss and cognitive decline that is very common in older adults. But the damage doesn't stop at the heart and brain.
The kidneys, with their millions of tiny blood vessels that filter waste, are also severely affected. Hypertension thickens and hardens these vessels, reducing their ability to filter properly. The result is chronic kidney disease, which in severe cases may require dialysis or even a kidney transplant. The eyes, the windows to your soul, are not spared either. The fragile vessels in the retina can be easily damaged by high pressure, causing bleeding, swelling, and in serious cases, permanent blindness.
Even sexual health is impacted, as hypertension damages blood vessels throughout the body, including those essential for maintaining erections in men and normal sexual function in women. All of this shows that high blood pressure is not just a number on a monitor. It is a silent destroyer, spreading harm from head to toe. Controlling blood pressure, therefore, is not only about preventing stroke or heart attack, but about protecting your entire body, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your eyes, your memory, and your quality of life. Picture hypertension as a stone dropped into a pond. The ripples don't just spread nearby, they travel across the whole surface, disturbing everything in their path. And the only way to stop those ripples from destroying your body is to control it every single day, with the right knowledge, a healthy lifestyle, and persistence in treatment. We've now gone through 5 shocking truths about high blood pressure, and by now, you likely understand why it's not just a number on a monitor, it's truly a ticking time bomb, silently counting down inside millions of people. Simply by checking your blood pressure regularly, maintaining a healthy diet with less salt and more vegetables, exercising consistently, getting enough sleep, managing stress, quitting smoking, and limiting alcohol, you can significantly cut your risk of stroke and heart attack. And if your doctor has prescribed medication, remember, medicine is not your enemy. It is your silent ally, protecting you every single day. Never stop taking it just because you feel fine, because, as we've seen, that is the quickest road to a sudden crisis. Think of taking your medication, exercising, or adjusting your diet not as a burden, but as an investment in your future, so you can keep enjoying life, walking freely, talking, and being with your loved ones without being tied to a wheelchair or a hospital bed. Ask yourself, when was the last time you measured your blood pressure? Do you know your real numbers, both systolic and diastolic?
Are you keeping up with healthy habits that protect your brain and heart? These questions may seem simple, but sometimes they are the very line between living a healthy life and suffering a sudden stroke. And if you're thinking it's too late to start, remember this: it's never too late to save yourself. Just one right choice today, eating a little less salt, walking a few more steps, going to bed an hour earlier, or taking your medication consistently can lower your risk for tomorrow. If you found this information helpful, please click like, hit subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family, because one small click today could become a priceless gift that saves someone's life tomorrow. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Which of these 5 truths surprised you the most? Have you ever had personal experience with high blood pressure or witnessed a stroke caused by it? Share your story, because sometimes one person's small experience can be the guiding light for many others. Remember, high blood pressure may be a silent killer, but with knowledge and proactive choices, you can strip it of its power. Your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your eyes, and your very life will thank you for that decision. So don't wait until it's too late. Take action today for your safe and healthy future.